Now, the president has a few days left in his tour of Asia, where he's been talking trade and North Korea. He's coming home to a big push to get tax reform passed. And joining us now is Loyola Marymount professor Fernando. Guerror, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we want to start with the Asia trip, and President Trump has touted trade agreements and talked tough on North Korea. But how much substance is coming out of this trip, would you say?
For American trade, very little substance. But a lot of his supporters would say that he's shifting the paradigm, he's starting over, and that you have to start somewhere. And so, you know, to some extent that could be true. But what is so striking is the symbolism here. For generations, multiple generations, the American president in these type of trips has been the leader of the free world, of free trade, of global issues, of regional issues, and he wasn't that. What is really striking is that he gave his big speech, and right after him was Chinese President Yi, and he sounded more like the global leader. He sounded the one that was talking about bringing down trade barriers. It was a very important symbolic reversal of the roles that we have had for multiple generations. And so while his supporters say he's shifting the paradigm in trade, I think he's shifting the paradigm in American global leadership. As to North Korean, there was no major statement or impact by Trump other than he's trying to get the Chinese and the Russians to help. They haven't really said they would, but his language was a lot more tempered. And what you saw is that the North Koreans were the ones that were a lot more aggressive in this conversation. And so at least Trump didn't make it any worse.
And now into the tax reform. House leaders say they hope to vote on the tax bill this week, but are they really that close?
I don't think so. I mean, we've seen this game before. It's almost exactly the same type of internal game within Congress that we saw with the repeal of the Affordable Care Act, or ACA, or Obamacare, and that the Republicans try what is considered, quote unquote, an extreme position, and they have to back down, and finally don't get it passed because enough Republicans peel off. And you're seeing the same thing. And so it's going to be very difficult for them. And even I believe that you might have a House version of the bill, that you're going to get a very different version in the Senate, and it'll be very tough to reconcile. So I don't believe, definitely not by Christmas, that Trump had promised that this would get done before the end of this year. I don't see that happening.
Wow. Okay. So do you think that states like California and New York have enough pull to get the state and local tax exemptions into the new bill?
Well, I mean, this is incredible because Californians, all our viewers right here, will be hit by this bill because right now we get to deduct the state tax that we pay from our federal tax. That won't be the case if this bill goes through. We'll be double taxed in a sense. Now, to prevent that, it means that if members of Congress vote their state's interest, this would go down. We have 53 members of Congress here in California. New York has in the 20s, etc. But we have 14 members in California who are Republicans. If they vote against us, which would be in the interest of the state, that it would go down. So theoretically, if the Republican members in California, New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania vote in favor of their state, this will go down. However, some of them have become such ideologues that they're willing to vote in terms of ideology over the interest. That will hurt them. Now, we've already started to see several members start to peel off. Congressman Issa from San Diego says he will not vote for this because of this aspect that would be double taxation.
Yeah, it's tough. All right, so with accusations looming about sexual misconduct in the Alabama Senate race coming so close to the election, what do you think voters in Alabama are going to do? You know, because prior to the allegations, Roy Moore had a 5-point lead, but now that race is neck and neck.
Oh yeah, I mean, this race was a slam dunk. I mean, no Democrat has won a statewide office in years, and Roy Moore was going to be it. This makes it a lot closer. You know, this becomes really interesting. Would you rather have a alleged pedophile or a Democrat? And many Alabama Republicans would rather have that alleged pedophile. The importance here is going to be if the response has been fake news, the Washington Post, CNN, etc. If these women and many of the others who have corroborated this story go on local news, if they are interviewed by people like yourself, but in Alabama, that will bring it a lot closer. It's not the Washington Post saying it. It'll be on local news, local newspapers. I think that will change the tide, but that's a big if.
Yeah, and it's, you know, time will tell, definitely, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We certainly appreciate it.